G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I know it's a bit late, I tried to get this one out a bit earlier, but the boys in the Indian store are a little bit busy. But today, we have a beautiful treat for you, and that is a 2025 Indian Scout Bobber. Now let's go have a look at it quickly. LED headlight, you got the new Speedster engine, I believe it's called. It's a 1250cc one. Belt driven, new rear fender, and of course, 2-in-1 exhaust. Look, I prefer the old one, but the new one is still quite gorgeous. And of course, you've got that lovely new tacho. So we're going to be doing a bit of a dark ride today, but the way this bike works, unlike usual, you just tap this button and it starts right up. Now, of course, digital dash, it's got to tell you that, careful, you might have an accident, so don't do things. Let's find this point and go for a cheeky little, whoo! I like it already. Do a little U-turn, get this show on the road and go down the road and see how you think of it. Now, this is not the first Indian Scout I've ridden. I have ridden an older 1133, which is my favourite model compared to this one. But we are going to give this one a bit of a cheeky old test ride. I don't really want to go through all that water personally, so we're going to stop about here and then see where the wind takes us, alright? What an exciting go. How's that stock exhaust? Pretty woeful, I'm not going to lie. Pretty woeful. Alright, after this car, let's boogie on down. Ugh. As we know, the Bobber is definitely built for speed and comfort. Let's give us... Oh yeah! Already it feels fantastic. Now, compared to a Honda Rebel, obviously this thing has a bit more up and go. It's got a little pep in her step, that's for sure. But the forward controls are something that is a bit new to someone like me, so I still find it a bit odd to ride around on these things. But let's get some little light specs out of the way. The Scout Bobber 2025 makes a lovely 105 horsepower. It makes about 107 Newton meters of torque, so she's no slouch. This one's got an actual RPM gauge as opposed to just a DigiDash one, which is cool. The other one was digital, purely digital. But oh, I tell you what, this is the more sportier out of the two of the Indian Chief and the Indian Scout. Now, I personally think the Indian Scout looks way better than the Indian Chief does. Now, when I say this, I don't think the Indian Chief looks bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're both gorgeous looking bikes, but the Indian Scout is definitely the better of the two. Now, this one I would say looks worse than the Chief currently. I prefer the older Indian Scout design. I've made that pretty well known. But look, I'm 5'9". I find this bike really comfortable. It's not too bad at all in the slightest. It's actually pretty good. The braking power is adequate. Getting into neutral isn't too hard. Hitting those brakes are nice. And because it's a Bobber, look at this. Bent knees all around, baby. We've got this lovely red matte color at the moment. We do have a few riding modes as well. I just need to figure out how to get into them. No. Oh, let's not hit the foot peg. Get used to this thing. Oh yeah, when that thing hits that power band, it likes to boogie. This GPS built in is actually quite nice as well. So let's see if I can figure out these power mode rubbish. Oh, let's put this in sports mode. You know we have to do that. Immediately, the throttle is going to feel a little bit more peppy. I don't care about the traction control and all that. We're just going to leave this in this one. Woo! All right. Immediately, the bike's going to feel a little bit nicer, a little bit better throttle response. There's no point test riding a bike like this in normal mode, not on a short ride like this. Come on now. So we're going to test ride this in its maximum capacity, and I'm going to have a good ass time doing it. So forgive me for the little bit of dark on the video. I was there when the sun was up, but they were quite busy. And because I'm only test riding, someone's buying a bike, I'm going to let them do their business before they let me have a chance. But if you're interested in buying a motorbike, ladies and gents, Dandenong Indian Motorcycle, they're always lovely. Go have a yarn to them because they are always wonderful people. I'm going to keep missing these forward controls. Let me get this fog out of my visor. Oh my lord, that's immediately different. Oh yeah, that's significantly better in sports mode, man. God damn! I tell you what, so in normal mode, when I twisted that throttle, it didn't pull me that hard. I think I'd have to pull the throttle sort of wide open to get that sort of throttle response. But now that I'm sort of in sports mode, it lets you do it. Oh, dude, it's immensely better. It's so much better. Now, a lot of people say these bikes aren't that comfortable. Honestly, I think that's, you know, a bit of full of chaser there, man. This thing is not that bad at all. Now, if you're a little bit smaller, you might find yourself a little hunched forward. In that case, fair enough, all right? Fair enough. You might find yourself not the happiest. But I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. The only thing that's a bit weird to me is the indicator location, because for me, I usually use the indicator in the from the bottom, like the, you know how the Hondas are. Suspension, feel a little bit of bumps here and there. It's not that bad, honestly. It's a Bobber. I'm sort of used to a firmer suspension anyway, because the Honda Rebel suspension's kind of average as well. But let's go through here and give it a nice good old. Now remember, the power hasn't even hit you. We're only at 3,500 RPMs accelerating. The power hits at like 7, so near the top of the rev range. So if I really wanted to give it the beans, it's gonna move. Whereas at this stage, it's not. It's still quite tame. I'm gonna be honest. I actually really like how this feels. Oh yeah, that's some good stuff there, brother. I love this. This is fantastic. Now, when I rode the other Indian Scout Bobber, I rode it really tame. I was pretty gentle on the bike, because once again, it was just some random guy at a bike meet who gave me the pleasure of letting me ride his bike. So I was quite nice about it, because it's not my bike and decision to make. So he just let me ride, and I went, "Thank you, sir." And then I took that and I went with it. So let's give this. Oh boy, that thing moves when it hits past that friggin' power band. God damn, that is fantastic. The power delivery, it's not instant like you would expect on an Indian Chief, all right? That's not how these engines work. It's a liquid-cooled V-twin, it's made for revving. Now, when you rev it like a bit more sportier engine like you used to, so a lot of people come from Honda Rebels and move to this. They're gonna feel right at home. This engine is incredibly sporty. It just likes to boogie. It just goes, and once you hit the power band, it really takes off. Now, I feel like when I test rode the FTR, I sort of didn't give it the beans as much as I perhaps should have, because of course it was one of my first test rides for a dealership. You know, don't want to damage anything. You're a bit nervous for your first go. You want to leave a good impression and all that. But now that I've sort of had a bit more experience riding different kinds of motorcycles and whatnot, I don't feel as sort of nervous to do a little bit more now that I've got the experience on different bikes. So let's give this one a bit more. Oh, Jesus Christ! That is fantastic for a cruising motorcycle. This thing grips, dude. It's great. It's not the fastest motorcycle I've ever ridden in the world, okay? Don't think it is. It's purely not, all right? But it is absolutely plenty of oomph. Now remember, 100 horsepower around that mark is plenty for the street, and that sentiment could not be any more truthful than with this motorcycle right now. It's got just enough to enjoy. It's not that uncomfortable. It looks nice. I'm sorry. I know I like the look of the older Scout more than this one, but this still looks good. This is a great motorcycle. And if you're looking to get into it as an upgrade even, it's a good bike to move on to from your Honda Rebel or your Kawasaki Vulcan or something like that. Now, if you're in America and you're looking for a first motorbike, look, it's a bit much, but you can definitely do it. Oh, am I in the right spot? I am. So, like, you can absolutely do this as a first bike. Don't think you can't. But it's a little much on the throttles. But look, because of these new ones, you get power modes. You can chuck them in a lesser mode. But I'll be honest, sports mode doesn't really get away from you that badly anyway. Because as long as you've got some throttle discipline, dude, it's not the end of the world. I tell you what, though, it sounds okay on the D-cell, even for a stock pipe. These forward controls are not made for these slow speed maneuvers, man. I feel so strange with forward controls. I'm so used to mids. So forgive me if I have any shift issues or anything this video, because I'm just not used to it. But oh, I'm already happy. Let's give it another one. Oh boy, it feels good. Now I want to do something a little bit different. This is a 6-speed, so let's chuck it in 6th gear and give it a bit of a acceleration. Don't get in my way, you bastard. Now, 6th gear is a little late, but I'm going to give it that. Hasn't quite got that air-cooled characteristic where you can just chuck it in a high gear and rip. Now, I'm sure at 100 Ks you could probably do it a little bit, but it's definitely struggling at 80 Ks. It's not made for that amount of gear at this gear. At the English, Nathan. It's not made for that gear at this speed. But 4th gear, you still got enough play in that bloody throttle to give it a bit of a rip. So I'll give this one more lap around the block, much like I did with the FTR. I'll give you my final thoughts, but dude, so far, initial impressions, I'm very happy with this bike. So I was a little bit unsold when I rode the other one, I'm gonna be honest. When I rode the other one, I was underwhelmed. But also I did very delicately ride that bike because I didn't want anything to go wrong. Because once again, not a dealership bike, it was a random guy at a bike meet, so I dare not risk damaging something. But dude, honestly, I might have to buy one of these, but definitely the older model. So on the side of the tire, look, you get a good, you look at the LED, you can see you get 29 degrees of lean on this bike. It's not the most lean in the world, but guess what, that's more than enough for a lot of cruising stuff. In fact, the Indian Chief has the same amount of lean as this bike, so don't pick the bike based on the lean. You got to pick these things based on character. So this is a bike you got to try back to back, I'd imagine, if you're interested in both. Now, I love both, but my budget really only allows me to get one or the other, and one not the other. So Indian Chief is vastly out of my price range, but maybe one day. The Indian Scout, however, is very much on my radar. And now that I'm doing a test ride, and now I wish it was a bit brighter so you could see a bit better, but now that I'm test riding it myself properly and giving it a proper good squirt, my opinion on this bike only got, happier. It just needs a pipe to wake up, because once it gets a pipe on it, it's going to feel fantastic, I'd imagine. Getting into neutral's nice and simple, but look at that, you get your temperature, you get your compass, you get your fuel gauge, your gear indicator, your speed, your time, your mode, and your revs. Now, of course, you got all the other symbols on your tacho, like most things. You got your fuel tank on the side here. Gorgeous looking tank on these new ones from the middle section. I don't like the side profile as much as I made in my other video. Don't think I've changed my opinion. I still think that. But, dude, this thing's awesome. Oh, yeah. Now, one thing that's definitely been improved is the seat in this thing. Now, the older generation seat, you definitely slide off the back of it, so I'm told. They've sort of fixed that problem with this one. So what they've done on this one is they've added a bit more of a sort of shelf on the back of the seat so your ass don't fall out of the seat. And I can tell you what, it certainly benefits from it. It needed that, that's for sure. Now, I didn't think so when I rode it myself, but I didn't give it enough of a twist on the throttle, it seems. But now that I've given it a bit more of a twist, oh yeah, this thing, she benefits greatly from a lovely, lovely lip seat on the back. So I'm definitely going to do one more lap and then I'm going to drop this bike off back to them. They've been so kind to stay awake for me, because normally that place closes at 5:30, it's now 5:40, but Champion's there. Very, very lovely. If you're going to go in there, go say hi to a salesman named Billy, let him know I sent you, and he'll take care of you. He's been the one helping me out this whole time. But let's go one last lap on this bike, and I think you can already tell what my impressions of this thing are, because, oh yeah, sneaky, sneaky, try and hit me. I can't see out of that mirror to save my life, dude, but I can see out of one of them. This one's way too low. Second gear takeoff? Oh, like it's nothing. Now, the control feels a bit weird. Like, I'm used to my real clicky button on my Honda Rebel. This one's not so clicky on the Scout. You do get cruise control, though. That's a nifty little thing there. So you get cruise control, you get all your buttons, you do get your blinker light there. Honestly, it's got more than enough features on this bike. The old one doesn't come with cruise control or anything, only the new one does. Supposedly that's where that $5,000 extra charge comes from, because cruise control's a big thing as opposed to a throttle lock or something. But I've never had cruise control, I've never needed cruise control. I could imagine if I've had cruise control and lost it, it would be one of those situations where I'd sort of miss it, but because I haven't, I can't say I'm struggling to use it at all. And as I'm not going to use this video, I sort of understand how it works, but like I said, I don't use it, I don't need to use it, so I'm not going to bother trying to use it. Man, honestly, just cruising down like this, it's not that uncomfortable. The speed bump, like the bumps aren't too bad. Now, I know it's only got a short suspension travel compared to like a standard bike, but that suspension's not that horrible at all. I actually kind of don't mind it. Compared to the Honda Rebel, it's not so bad, because the Honda Rebel is usually rather firm, as it were. So let's give it one more. Okay, that's a good little rip. It wasn't a full speed rip, but it certainly felt nice. Now, I'm not going to go too fast because I don't want to get in trouble, but this is definitely a motorcycle that can get you in trouble with its playfulness, I'll give you that much. This thing has the good looks, alright? The Scout Bobber is a beautiful looking motorcycle. You can sit up on it, it's not the world's most uncomfortable thing. My back's not used to it, but that's just a thing with practice. I don't find it too bad. The Digi-Dash on these new ones is gorgeous. I just wish they kept the old engine with this stuff, but that's my opinion. I tell you what, clutch feels nice and light. Controls are nice and easy to navigate. The brakes feel pretty nice for a bike of this size. It's about 250 kilos, remember that. I did give the stats of the older model in my previous video, but this one's not too dissimilar to the old one in terms of major stats. So if you want a bit more in-depth detail about the Scout, I'd suggest searching that one up. But I tell you what, no scraping there. Hit the speed limit, got the nice sunset over the bridge. Oh, what a better way to enjoy an American motorcycle than this. Now, I know, like I said, it's dark, but it's wicked. It gives you a good chance to see the dash, how well it works at night. The LED is actually not too bad at all on this thing. I do wish it was a little bit taller, like angled up a little bit. I suppose if you accelerate, it will be. But honestly, I think this thing's awesome. I would happily buy one of these in a heartbeat. And if you want to get a little bit more comfort, just put a bit of a riser on, and then, like, much like how the Scout 101 has, and like, even if your arms are up here, you're probably going to be a little bit nicer on your motor, like on your back, than you would otherwise, because this bike has endless amounts of customization, and it's definitely a big thing. First gear does not feel so chunky like on the Honda Rebel. When you chuck it in first on the Honda Rebel, you really notice it. Alright, That's one last rip and twist, and let's give this thing... That sounds like a terrible, terrible sex move. We're going to take this back to the dealership and then say our final little thoughts and our final goodbye to it. Unfortunately, it's time to give it back. But this thing is incredible. Now, when I finally get the chance to give the Indian Chief a go, I will. Because I'd love to see how that compares to this motorcycle. But this thing, I am immediately sold on. So let's give it back to them over there. And then, of course, it's time to say our goodbyes to this motorcycle, dude. Unfortunately, that driveway for a bike dealership is horrendous. Oh, let's drop it right at the front door for him. Chuck it in neutral. There's a missed peg like I said I would. And there's that kickstand on this model. There it is. Alright, so, no, like I said, gorgeous styling at the flip mirrors. Lovely new engine. There's a 1250cc, 2-in-1 exhaust. I personally like the shotgun style of the old one more, but what do you do? Upside down mirrors are lovely. The new tacho, fantastic. Brakes are great. Feels fantastic. Honestly, if you haven't had a chance to give it a test ride, go for it. This thing's wicked. Otherwise, ladies and gents, that's my thoughts and opinions on an initial test ride of this thing. Have a look at that LED. Not too bad. And of course, let's turn this off. The power button, you might not be able to see actually, is hiding down here. There we go. Nice and off. But take it easy, ladies and gents. Keep it cheesy. Have a wonderful day. Peace.